Welcome back after a tiny summer break to the Marketing Measurement Matters podcast, and very happy to have Stefan Hock again with us, Director Performance and Media at About You. So glad you came back because we had a lot of stuff to cover in the last episode, and we didn't manage to cover everything. So today we want to dive a bit deeper into the attribution model and into the marketing mix modeling, or media mix modeling, whatever it is that you do. But of course, also happy to have you guys here, Tim and Tim.
Hello.
How has your summer been so far?
Very good.
Well, we have to mention the summer break was not because of us, right? It was because you were on holiday.
Yeah, that's an exception. I usually don't do holidays, but yeah.
No, great summer. It's also very sunny today, which is great. September. Yeah.
And
let's talk about the weather. That's very interesting.
Let's talk about how you include weather do you include weather as a contextual variable or as a control variable in your marketing mix modeling? Then maybe let's start with that.
Yeah, I think we tried it for a long time. Mm-hmm. Now I think it's super tricky. Mm. But if we are not sure about the current numbers, we
look at the weather.
On the weather. No, I think it makes sense to have it in fashion, but I would say it's not the strongest explanation factor.
Yeah, but then
to a certain extent, of course, like weather shift, season shift, of course,
obviously.
So when are people starting to buy actually the autumn clothes?
Yeah, but for example,
that's more demand forecast.
If it's raining or not, that doesn't matter for you, right? I mean, and how would you use that? Oh, it's going to be raining today. What kind of campaigns are we?
I think you have two effects. So if the weather is there's a phase where the weather is good, people want more clothes which suit to the weather. So spring is coming. So they're trying to start buying more clothes. So that's more like seasonal shifts, I would say. And then for rain is not necessarily bad because then people have time to shop.
True. Yeah.
So I think it can go in both ways.
So if it's raining, increase marketing spend so you can get more.
We had a time where we did weather testing so that we put the weather data and then we're changing budget and bits, but that was without any real impact, I have to say.
Did you also run into the challenge that the weather, obviously, I mean, in Germany is not a very big country, of course, in the grand scheme of things, but even in Germany, the weather is super different, right? So
the weather is different in Hamburg and in Harburg. So
that's exactly what's happening. So did you run into that challenge as well? That there is just not the weather.
Yes, and if you have 25 countries,
even funnier.
Yes, and also some of them are big, have different weather zones. I would say for us, the topic is more for demand forecasting and how is the development for the season items.
Right.
Yeah,
so for example, this year it started earlier than last year. That people were getting more into autumn clothes.
Because it was fucking cold the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, July was really bad, wasn't it? Or is that
all
just
good for
a
you.
Subjective feeling?
August wasn't great either, guys. This summer was fucked.
No, May and June were great.
Yeah, but for marketing mix model, I would say it's not a big factor for us.
Cool, interesting. By the way, just a shameful plug. We are at the DMEXCO and we have a masterclass there together with Jack Wolfskin, and for them weather makes quite a difference apparently, because of course outdoor clothing. So that's on the 17th of September.
But they probably also have very seasonal business, right?
That as well, yes, sure. Okay, cool.
Also very specific target groups. Sorry.
Yeah. So we thought about starting off with a discussion sometimes these discussions are sparked by some random LinkedIn post that we saw that sounds clever and interesting, but there's this iOS 26 update looming, and we saw a post like people are really confused, and we know some of the real big ad platforms which would be directly impacted by it are also thinking a lot about it. Is the Google GCLID finally being scraped by Apple? And of course, that would have a huge impact in terms of being able to attribute the impact of Google Ads to anything literally, or the conversions and revenues to these Google GCLIDs. Is that, like, first of all, we don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, there has now been a beta release as far as understood, and the Google Click ID there is still present. It hasn't been stripped.
But the thing is also this went on since iOS 17, right? iOS 17 they started the stripping, and they already started the stripping in mail and messages. So mail and messages, it's gone.
Yeah, and that's still the case, of course.
That's still the case, but and I think they also immediately started stripping HubSpot IDs.
Yeah,
and then you have private browsing in Safari where it's also going to be stripped.
Yeah,
but looking at the LinkedIn,
every tracking parameter.
Yeah, no, that's the funny
thing. TikTok apparently not.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. They started with a list which had HubSpot in there, and some things I've never heard about before. And they started with that. Interesting that they also started with HubSpot, not
I was going to say
or Salesforce or whatever.
But it's B2B, like.
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, there's like so many companies have their own ID. Why start with a specific company? It's weird.
Yeah,
maybe some personal.
A personal vendetta.
Yeah, but I heard that TikTok IDs are not stripped.
Yeah, and why? Why? That's like
maybe
why would
Apple wants to be able to sell in China still big time. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the click ID. I mean, we just heard that, or you maybe saw on your stock polls that Google is now allowed to still pay Apple money to be the main the main search engine. Yeah. Maybe there's another deal in the background where they can actually attribute on SCAD or SCAN.
Speaking of Google, maybe the last point. I mean, obviously I wanted to talk to you about the Google Click ID and if that's something that you think about. But just speaking of Google, it was just announced that they don't have to sell Chrome and Android. Yeah. So this antitrust case somehow now came through. Probably good for everyone who owns Alphabet stock, but
that was nice.
Just wanted to mention that as well.
That's why the stock is up.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why the stock and search is still growing, despite all these rumors that ChatGPT is taking a lot of search queries, which seems to be at least as of now not the case.
Yeah, I think this whole search topic. Also, if you think about fashion. I don't see that there's now fundamental search behavior change for fashion. Because I don't think you look for fashion via a large language model.
At least as of now. I tried to book a flight to Stockholm. I need to go to Stockholm next week. So I tried to try ChatGPT, tried Manus AI. I don't know if you know that. Mm-hmm. And I was expecting way more. I told it I want to have the Tuesday flight indirect and the earliest flight. And I knew exactly which flights I wanted. And I wanted it to look up maybe better alternatives. And then there weren't even links to booking platforms.
I have a great example for that as well. We went looking for holidays in October. We wanted something direct connection from Hamburg. Yeah. Adults only hotels. Yeah. A bit more nicer than others. Swim up rooms, and everything was crap. They gave me the standard Google Google answers, and we managed to find something nice via Instagram and via looking for it and then being targeted. So that worked much better.
So, but of course that might change in the future if they prioritize it, I guess. So coming back to this Google Click ID topic and maybe talking more about you.
It's a new joke, actually.
That was by accident. But is that something that you think about a lot? Is it going to impact? I mean, there's still going to be this G-Braid ID or whether it is to somehow identify ads, but is it like currently on your guys' head or not that much?
I mean, it's a PI, personal identifier information, which we can use to send data to Google. But for our attribution, it's not required, right? Yeah. So we track it, so we can use it to give it as an information to Google.
Okay.
Same for Meta, TikTok, and so on. But if it was not there and our tracking would be in place, we could still attribute everything, and then we would need to rely more heavily on other PI data.
But can you? Because I see it quite often. I mean, you don't have that match. You have more app than web probably. Mm-hmm. But for a lot of web customers I have, there's the case that you sometimes have the click ID, which is tracked, but the UTM parameters are not tracked.
And then you need the click ID to resolve the
UTM parameters,
channel source campaign stuff.
Okay, I think our coverage is quite good. Okay. So we have a general tracking loss problem as everyone, where we extrapolate the data, but we don't have a big decrease in UTM data. Okay. Actually. But let me double check.
Yeah. So that's free consulting now.
Yes, app is a bigger factor, but depends on the channel as well. Yeah. So everything which is app to app, of course. You can basically ignore web. For Meta apps, everything is very app focused. You do app install campaigns. Customers have app installed, so you can deep link it to the app. And then for Google search, it's not deeply integrated in the Google product. So, for example, Meta, they would know that the user has the app. when the consent is there. Yeah. But Google not, so they would always link on the web browser, and we have an auto redirect feature into our app that works on our own, and then we have also an app banner where people then can actively, if that doesn't work and they have the app or they don't have it, they can also go to install the app from there. Or we deep link them into the app, and then we can also, of course, transfer all the tracking parameter that we have in the browser session for consented users. Then we can also give it to the app, store it there, and then use it also there in the app attribution. Basically, it's a cross-platform model. Yeah. So, but for Google search specifically, browser is big. Yeah. So a lot of people convert in the browser. So
and that is obviously for tracking and for attribution and all of that. In the beginning, we spoke briefly about marketing mix modeling. So how does marketing mix modeling and multi-touch attribution and tracking and all of that, how do they relate to each other at About You also in terms of their importance for steering?
Yeah, I think I was this year on a conference, and then there were different kinds of businesses, and we had some talks about attribution, and some said, yeah, we have so much problems getting the tracking data, we don't try to model it anymore, so we only model indirectly. But then I would say, okay,
meaning what? Like only doing MMM or?
Only, I mean, some businesses where also they don't own necessarily all the sales platform, because it's more difficult, and then experiments and MMM. But for pure play, of course, it's easier. And then if you have a good consent management, I would say then you should be able to track a lot deterministically still. So our core is for performance marketing still deterministic attribution, and then enhancement is done with probabilistic modeling.
But what does good consent management mean? Well, or in other words, what's bad consent management?
Bad consent management is
not asking for consent.
And not asking for a consent?
Well, that's illegal consent management.
Depends what you do, right?
Yeah.
If you do, okay, but that's an extreme case. But I think not have all the CRM data connected with your consent data, and having basically a bad UI and then having a bad consent rate, of course. So some users you won't convince.
Especially in Germany.
I'm not sure. I think it depends a bit on your strategy. So some people like more like dark patterns. Some businesses.
Explain, please.
No, I think what you see commonly, especially I would say for press-related content and so on, that the consent banner pops up and you cannot say yes or no, right? So you can either say yes to everything, or you can go to settings.
Right.
Then in the settings you can opt out.
The 50 shades of gray for consent management.
Yeah, and then of course the opt out. I mean, a normal user, how would they understand this stuff? Yeah? So. And then there's more like the proper one, how we have it as well, where you can also opt out directly if you don't want. You can go do your configuration. I would say most people don't configure a lot.
No.
I mean, who is the normal user? And he goes into configuration and says, yeah, for Meta, it's okay to share my data. For Google, not. Snapchat, yes.
Yeah, honestly, who has time to edit configurations on the web shop for cookies?
Yeah, but
someone who really hates Facebook, for example.
Oh, yeah.
But it needs to be possible. I would say also don't try to trick your users into consent. Also not a good behavior as a company, especially if you have loyal customers that you want to keep. Why mess up with their intentions? Yeah? So, but I think to educate people, also to explain to them, hey, this is useful for you. Because I mean, there's so many people. I mean, it's a bit anecdotal because I don't have extensive survey data, but I think you speak often to people and they say, I hate it when I'm on Instagram and the advertisement is super irrelevant.
Yeah.
So you can also set Instagram to these not personalized ads mode. And
or if it's too relevant.
But then you find the right hotels. It's
true.
Yeah, I love it.
Yes, and I think that, of course, that's preference, right? So, but a lot of people, especially I think in fashion, it's product discovery. And there are a lot of products in the world. How would you find them? So it's also a challenge in the shop. The user has maybe 5 minutes in your shop. How do you build a customer experience where they have the best possible discovery? Because they won't browse everything. It's impossible if you have hundreds and thousands of products. So you need to make sure you have features which helps the people to discover ads. But then advertising is, of course, a great channel because the discovery features are really, really good. So for Instagram, TikTok is working on that. So for Instagram also, of course, Facebook. And then, of course, search is more like the search intent driven. So the user is already looking for something. That's why, of course, really, really relevant channel. Yeah, but I think a lot of people like that they get recommendations and products which they are interested in.
I have a stupid question in between. Recommendations like the director of marketing posting a nice Adidas dirndl on LinkedIn? Because trust me, that already worked. I had discussions this morning.
Yeah, but I think that was a product we discovered through our ads.
Oh, it's awesome.
So we saw, okay, that gets traction right now in product discovery ads. So people show an interest in that, right? So the algorithm of Meta is quite quick. So if you have it on conversions or any custom metrics that you inject to Meta, if the product is interesting for people, they click it, but they don't buy it, it will be also out of the catalog ad very, very quickly. And I would say also the algorithm of Meta has become better, because there were times where we had sometimes phases where on a single day, one product out of a catalog of hundreds and thousands of products, 60% share on impression share on one product. It's a bit long time ago, I would say, but I think the algorithm also has improved there. But it's an interesting attribution topic, because we have if you think about like a customer journey, is there a difference of customers that click on a product and buy this product, maybe also some days later, compared to you click on a product and you buy a different product? So that's why I think you cannot model everything with the marketing mix model, because it's a very broad model. So it can check for, okay, what is the overall effect of a channel, maybe a big campaign, what is more like on a top level view. But if you go very, very detailed in attribution, especially in e-commerce, you need to go granular on a customer level, on an order level, because M cannot solve it. So we can check, okay, what is the right pressure on Google Shopping or on Meta, on TikTok, and factor that in the attribution. But for like having the spread on this kind of customers incremental, and the other customers not, you need to understand your customer behavior. You need to have the data, and sometimes you need to have a theory. You can try to test it, but I think you cannot always hope for, okay, a mathematical model will solve it for me. So I think you also need to think about your business. How do customers behave? What is a customer which buys probably anyway, or does not need a lot of marketing pressure? So I think all these, do I have CRM access to a customer? Important, how active is the customer? What is an expected transaction frequency? If I have a customer that buys every 4 months, I don't need to show the customer when he bought all the time ads.
Kept the frequency,
Or if I do, then at least often, of course, the algorithm solves it as well, right? Because then if he sees, okay, the user's not doing anything, they will sort them out. But the attribution model should basically solve your calculation problem. So you did advertising for a very low incremental person. So your attribution model should say the paid impact on these orders are very low, let's say 10%. And then if you had a customer who had no intention to buy at all, ideally your attribution model should say the paid attribution share of this order is 80, 90, maybe 100%. So of course it's tricky because it's still models, but then I would say this is better. You can do that way better with deterministic attribution models, obviously, because you can track the customer journey.
Exactly, and you can use the previous journey, so to say, as the control variable for intent, right? If you had 3 organic search clicks and maybe already put something in the basket, it's probably not 90% of that attribution that should go to the last retargeting click.
Okay, yes, of course. Customer journey modeling, that you have a specific share per touch point. I think, of course, that's very important. But then what we really aim to do is the incrementality calculation.
And then how do you do that? Like, so our approach would be that you have a bunch of journeys that look similar, and then one time you have an additional ad click, for example, such as generic search click, and you see the conversion rate from these journeys is much higher, and that's how we basically then assume incrementality of that channel. How because that's exactly, I'm just looking into the list of topics that we wanted to discuss last time, and that's such a good transition to that topic. How does the model then actually solve for that? How does the model help you to understand this incremental impact on the customer journey level?
Yeah, so the attribution, you mean the attribution share
modeling
per touch point,
right?
right?
Exactly.
That is the first calculation which is done. So in some countries, customer journeys are very long, actually. So, and also depends a bit on the channel affinity, I would say. So Google search people tend to have short customer journeys.
Oh, okay.
But by
because they already kind of know what they want, and then the intent is also already so high they don't need that many ad touch points. Okay.
And
then they rather move a lot on the actual About You app or site, and or how, like, do they still have a lot of interaction with the website or the app itself, or?
It depends on the customer, obviously.
Yeah,
right? So if the user doesn't have the app, we don't want to force the customer necessarily into the app. Because totally fine if the customer journey is short, and for a customer who has not an account yet, I think a Google search customer, I do not necessarily need to force into the app, because especially if a new customer and I know that I have not identified the user, I don't know the cookie, it's not logged in, there is a X% chance it's a new customer.
Got it.
Yeah, so they should have like straight order experience.
Yes.
And then after they ordered, and if they are, I don't know, satisfied, then later on we can transfer them into the app. Then you have the email, person comes back later. Yeah, so we always have the option that the user goes into the app, but we don't need to enforce it.
Got it.
And then, because we also have, of course, app install campaigns, that we are trying to enforce it, that people try out the app, discover it. But I think it's also a good straight customer experience to do it on the shop first. And then it's more like a loyalty tool to have people in the app, to have push notifications, to reach them via CRM. Yeah. So of course, this decreases your marketing costs.
And I think that's like, I heard somebody say it's like asking for or proposing for marrying right on the first date. If you kind of ask for all these loyalty program, and you want to have the newsletter, you want to install the app without even having bought the product, and having the product experience first. So that makes a ton of sense.
But I think we also discussed it last time that, of course, then you need to be aware what kind of customer did I get there? How loyal will this customer
Some people want 10% off for the newsletter immediately.
There we go again.
Personally, I find it always a bit irritating if I go to a new online shop and they always say, sign up, then you get 10%. Just give me
depending on how expensive the products are, that can be quite attractive.
No. 10% is 10% always.
Right.
Yeah, but of course, if you have then the email opt-in, it definitely has some value, but probably always good to A/B test it.
I'd like to do, because not that we're going to miss this again, but how does the attribute, or whatever you do on an order ID level, how do you figure out the incrementality of certain, whatever, marketing activity, CRM activity? How do you figure that out? I mean, of course, you could also do tests, but what's your way to approach this? Is this through the actual attribution modeling? I mean, you kind of attribution modeling actually should solve for that at some point.
The attribution model is meant to have incrementality built in. On an order level, I think it's difficult to completely make it bulletproof, right?
Yeah, sure.
So that's why there are assumptions built in. But then, of course, for a campaign or channel, I can do experiments, GEO-lifts, conversion lifts, and then check for incrementality. Personally, I prefer GEO-lift. Because you track everything. So if I do a conversion lift with a partner, I always have the tracking loss. I don't own the experiment, so the partner owns the experiment.
And then you have the whole discussion how
trustworthy
sound the results are. I mean, we had that discussion on the podcast previously. Okay.
But then GEO-lift is cool because you own it. You can combine multiple channels. You are more in control. You can track all the data.
And you can feed these results back into the actual attribution model, right? That was
on a channel base. I think on bigger campaign basis, that would be next step. But then if it goes super granular, then we are looking more on this type of customer. So if it's a new customer, then the customer is very incremental to our business. So of course, then we want that this is reflected in both the attribution model, but also then in these LTV prediction that we discussed last time. Right? So if I look into the future and I got a new customer, the marketing needs to get credit for some stuff of the future profit, also to be scalable, but also it's fair, so to say. And then if the user, basically ideally you would track your users, and then this is a frequent user, this is a churned user, probably not coming back. So your marketing gets back a churned user, which you think is churned. I would say it's high incremental. If you have a customer who's very active on your app every week and shops every 2 months, and then after the last order, it's 2 months away, and your marketing gets this customer to order after 2 months again. Probably less incremental.
Yes.
So then these customer types and the behavior that the people, how did they behave before they ordered, you can use the signals to determine some incrementality factor on this order, and then you can use it to tweak your paid and direct share, right? But I think it's also a bit some belief in it. And I know also some businesses, they don't give credit, or they always give full paid credit. Yeah? So let's say a customer orders, or they get a new subscription, elite, whatever, it's always 100% paid.
Yeah, but these businesses, they have mentally very healthy marketers. It's very good for happy marketers to give always the full.
Yeah.
Where we come from, happiness is not the goal for marketers.
I mean, then you make a hard cut, right? Then you have, again, your fully direct people, and then you have your full paid people. I think it's not that good, but I say, okay, these people, we have no tracking information about it, but we have some probabilistic proof, or we have a probabilistic modeling that they came via some marketing actions. And then if a customer orders and you did some marketing, I would say in most cases, it is not 100% your marketing. Or you also do your brand marketing, and brand marketing is, of course, very, very difficult to put in your attribution model. Yeah, so for TV, I think direct response TV, I'm not sure if we discussed last time, cool, you can do it, right? So you can say, hey, there was a TV spot, here's a peak, we give probabilistic shares, we do put this in the customer journey model. Voucher codes, great tool to have probabilistic modeling and so on. But I mean, long-term branding effects, I think, it's difficult.
Trust.
Studios, we try to model the halo effect.
No, we called it the trust effect.
A trust effect.
Trust effect.
TV will build trust on that.
The ticket was discovery of TV trust effect. I think we had this for 4 years at Goodcam Studios. I built it, and it was still there like 1 year later. And we never. I mean, we got closer, but we never completely managed that.
Former colleague of mine, he works in TV buying. So I think agency model, and they also help with the measurement. And I think he wrote on LinkedIn, it has a 20 to 30% increase on your conversion rate of all your paid marketing if you do TV. I think if it was the case, that would be easy to measure, because maybe for some business it is like this. Yeah?
But I think he's not wrong, because the thing is really this long-term trust. I mean, we talked about this several times, right? If you have TV, the company also must have money, or is doing a Ponzi scheme, also fine. But this already builds trust, right? And then it's always branding.
Good question, because that's what we saw at Jimdo, that we had more also freemium model. We have seen more freemium users converting after TV spots.
Yeah, same at Goodcam Studios.
Same at Goodcam. So you don't acquire new, like it's not that huge branding effect in terms of getting the name out there, but actually really building the trust. Oh, this is somehow worth paying for, because they have the money to do TV spots.
But also weirdly, we also had this weird TV landing page back then, which only was possible to get there via the TV spot because it wasn't indexed, and also these customers were better than the rest. Or were generally better. So TV.
I mean, the ones that managed to get a URL from a TV ad and then type it in quickly enough.
They want to be quite invested.
That's a huge
someone had the idea in 2015 to already use QR codes and was laughed at. Well, 10 years later, this is normal.
Who was it? Was someone?
No.
Then maybe
my wife is still making fun of me because of that.
Next measurement project, trust effect, halo effect.
I mean, if you need a good consultant for that, you know where I'm.
If the whole ecosystem in Europe would move to programmatic TV, and you could geo-target TV,
perfect.
Of course,
100%.
And it's cool to test. But in the current, I think linear TV is by far the majority right now. So I think in Germany we buy so much normal linear TV, and you cannot really target it, so it's harder. Of course, you can say I switch TV on, and then I have a look on.
It's good for direct response peak detection estimation.
That's good.
We love linear TV for peak detection. It's amazing.
It's great. Fun fact: I actually got a question via WhatsApp for you. So I mean the standard thing, right? What do you think? How will the whole agentic AI stuff and so on change what you're doing right now?
I wanted to ask you the same.
Well, we talked about this in our episode before.
We have a whole podcast. We can send you the link.
Do you know someone who has now a marketing department which is only on agents?
No.
But Tim here is almost an agent.
I mean, I'm almost an agent, yeah. But partially, I mean, do you think partially that will help you with anything? I mean, you are the visionary marketing guy here, right? So.
Yeah, but I think it's hard to predict, because we are not right now testing this extensively.
Yeah.
I have to admit.
No vibe marketing yet.
So I mean, the automation of marketing, that has a long history.
Sure.
And right now you can already, because everything is very automated. So the focus in the past years was on
There
automation.
are some agents already in some ways.
I mean, it's some kind of an agent. If I have a model that I calculate and then it measures my incrementality and I'm able to feed it to the
And it does
platform and the algorithm automatically picks it up while I drink coffee, then it's a way of agentic
Yeah.
work. So do I need for everything an agent? But difficult for me to answer this right now. So could be that it helps. Right now, it's not our focus.
But it's not like you're 100% on this. This will change everything. I can fire half my department in half a year. No.
No.
No is the correct answer.
Yes, I think, of course, these are great tools. Probably you can make everyone more productive and so on. Would it change how much people you need in a specific team for kinds of marketing? Probably yes. How much? I think it's
will it replace
hard
them?
to predict right now. Because of course everyone uses already AI tools, and
or you are able to do even more with the stuff that you have.
Yeah.
I mean,
obviously.
Or people could work less, but a different story.
That's your focus, of course.
That's my focus always.
Last topic, and because I think we kind of touched upon this, and we are already at the 30-minute mark, and I don't want to lose touch of this. The MMM. How do you use MMM for overall forecasting, budget allocation? And one point that we noticed and kind of took note of in our preparation was how do competitors go into the MMM or context like variables describing competitor action, and specifically Temu and Shine. Because I guess you guys look at those two, maybe less now than earlier, but is that something that you kind of control for, or that you kind of integrate into your MMM, or not that much?
We have built up a database of their auction data, so you can get to a certain extent.
Means what specifically?
I mean, the data is limited. You get it from Google, so of course they don't give you access to everything. But of course, you can see how aggressive other companies are in the auction and so on.
Oh, okay.
So what's the impression share on Google Search, Google Shopping, and so on. But on other platforms,
wait! I didn't even know this. Did you know this? You can get the impression share of other companies, not just your own, or
through which API?
Good question. I think
50 Shades of Grey API.
Unofficial API.
I think it needs to be even provided by Google. I think.
But if
That's
you ask
amazing.
for it, then
Because I think there are some regulations where they need to provide some certain data and so on.
Thinking of this being highly relevant for us as a
absolutely.
potential
Absolutely.
for the couple of clients that we have.
But you don't get this from everyone, right?
Yeah,
I think there was a guy on LinkedIn who was doing a spend forecasting based on the ads library for Meta, so where you could then forecast, what they're spending on Meta. I think we have not digged into that yet. I think it's hard to model it because the data is hard to get. Because either you get the data quite late, if it's a public company, but you don't get it very granular. Sometimes you don't get it at all, so you need to rely on different data sources. Very inaccurate.
Yeah.
Now Amazon dropped out of Google Shopping for a while. Do you see now a clear measuring effect or effect on your numbers? It's super difficult.
Yeah.
So, but we don't have the strongest overlap with Amazon.
Yeah.
So I would say Temu, Amazon. That's of course
Different
great if your competitor drops out.
Yeah.
And we had also cases where Shein dropped out of the auction for a while, and then they went back. I think it was they were starting to prepare for IPO, which they did not do.
But that's probably something you can see in your CPCs, right? I mean, there must be a drop and it must be visible.
Yeah.
But I think the data is not as good that you can completely just feed it in a model.
It's more like explanation for things, and then you can
if the data was more accessible, then of course.
But sorry to get back to that. But you do integrate that data into the MMM,
Not yet.
Okay. But you're thinking of doing that, and are there other tools? I don't know, like these SEO tools.
Data AI. I think is data AI still relevant for you guys? App Annie?
For app rankings.
Yeah.
I mean, the revenue itself is not modeled there, right?
No, not anymore. It worked for gaming, but doesn't work anymore for everything else.
Yeah, because I mean, they don't get a cut from e-com.
Yeah.
Because it's physical
Yeah.
goods. So
which is good for you.
Revenue is not modeled. There is no revenue in the app.
Yeah. It's just ranking and it's just downloads.
Yeah. I think it can tell you more about who is aggressive right now, but only also in specific types of marketing.
Yeah.
Because I can be hyper aggressive in Google Shopping and I will still get some installs, but it does not mean I get tons of installs.
No.
I can do a lot of app install campaigns, rank super high in the store. I know in gaming was different back then. So
Sure,
we were
because it
always
was
trying to hack the rankings and blah blah blah. I think that's not a thing anymore, right? For gaming, maybe for e-com, not.
Yeah.
And we have also different apps. We have an outlet app. We have the normal About You app. So if we release the outlet app in a country, it's very easy to push it to place one for shopping. Also in the overall category, I can easily rank it very high. Does it correlate with revenue? No.
No, true.
So,
but if you have a growth target, then it's great,
So coming back to the MMM, like you see, I try to get to the MMM there. But are you running it regularly, and are you like, what place does it have in your?
I think it's
marketing
two types, right? It's this, what is my long-term effect? 3 years, 5 years, if I run a lot of TV.
Yeah.
So I would say that's more like classical MMM.
Yeah.
Do I personally completely rely on that? No. Is it something which you use in your toolbox? Yes.
But that's running, like you let it run on a monthly or what kind of basis, or more regular?
No, more regular.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then more like tactical MMM, where we can basically use also the MMM mechanic to calibrate the performance marketing channels, right? And give it different weights. So basically, you could use the MMM, plus you can use the experiments and then tweak your attribution model.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But luckily, I don't have to do that because we have a marketing data science team for that. Yeah. But of course, we are in exchange with them basically every week, all the time.
And so just, I mean, we don't need to dive into the details too much, but so basically 2 MMMs, one for more long-term effects, and then the tactical one for calibrating potentially the attribution modeling. Okay. Quite interesting.
And I think what's also, of course, important, and you don't get this data prior to when it happens, is how aggressive are sale campaigns in your competitor. So let's say there is, I don't know, a specific competitor of yours is very aggressive general. Okay, but the daily revenue difference in e-com is crazy. Yeah? So compared to other businesses, very, very frequent. Does not change all the time. But for e-commerce, you have then now was a summer sale phase. Yeah. So summer sale Sunday is very different than a non-sale Wednesday, obviously. And then also, if your competitors are aggressive at that point, is also, of course, super important. You can track this later on. You can also put it in the database, but you don't know this also upfront. Because they don't send you their plan.
Posterior analysis.
Because in theory, you could even optimize that and say, okay, if you know that, of course, competitors are in that week very aggressive, you could take the other one. For example, to even it a bit out, and so on. But of course, it's hard to get the data then. In a group, of course, where you have multiple companies, you can align it better and so on.
So have you tracked that data for Zalando, for example, or are you getting it?
Price tracking, of course, yes. Price tracking, there are a lot of companies they provided. You can buy the data. So, and of course, then you can, or you can scrape it. You can build your own tool, and of course, you see then price aggressiveness as an indicator, but I don't know what happens tomorrow. But for my own planning, when I set up my promotions and so on, of course, it would be important to know every time, okay, what's happening in the market, because 2 or 3 stores at once, I mean, that's November, basically. November, everyone is doing sale all the time. So
especially on Fridays, right?
Nowadays, the whole month.
Yeah, but Black Friday.
Is it really?
I think Black Friday is not that important anymore as it was in the past.
Interesting.
Yeah, because everything was really centered around this day. Then it was very centered around this week. And now everything is centered around the whole month somehow. I think depends on the vertical.
Because there was a Black Week, then was a Cyber Week right after.
That's still the case. Black Week and Cyber Week. It's always 2 weeks.
But of course, for marketing, it's better. Do I want to have so much pressure on just one weekend, on one day?
And then if your servers crash on that day, then...
on the one hand that, and on the other hand, the prices were ridiculous at some point. So no one wanted to pay these prices anymore in the auction on these days. And then I think the industry, without aligning on that, aligned on, okay, let's not focus on this just one weekend. So we even it more out. We shuffle our inventory. So every week we promote other stuff, and then everything is more stretched out the whole month. I'm not sure if it's really better for the customer. Probably yes, because they also don't need to be so stressed about one day or one weekend, so they can get good deals constantly via the months. And I think for marketing, it's better.
So the only ones suffering are the ad platforms.
That must be very bad for them.
I would say even no, right? Because in the end, they
still get the same money just
for a longer time.
I think it's pretty obvious in the financial reports that they are not the ones that suffer.
No, doesn't seem like it. Cool. We covered a lot of the topics that and even more, of course, than we kind of missed to cover last time. Any other things that we should discuss?
I think we come up with something.
What I think is, of course, interesting about your business, where you see the big differences from the different kinds of business model. So what's easier to model? What's more challenging? What's more fun? So because I mean, I was in gaming now a long time ago. Now also a long time in e-commerce. But then, of course, you know a lot of stuff in and out, but I don't have the overview about all the business. So sometimes you miss maybe a trend, which is already a thing in a certain industry, but is not in your own yet.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, that's why we invite people like you, because we also have a very narrow, like not narrow, but a very broad view on everything, but not as deep as, for example, not really knowing about. And that's why I love this podcast, because we suddenly learn stuff that we probably wouldn't otherwise hear, like, for example, the share of search of potential competitors, which is something that we could probably hopefully get automated through Funnel Data Hub, and then make it available.
I think you still need to have be the owner of the advertiser account and so on. So let's say you have a client, they should need to be able to get it, I think.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's still very much worth for us investigating whether we can get it more programmatically and then integrate it into our MMM. So no, I mean, that's why we're not just doing it for marketing and for the audience, but also because we get smarter. And no, I mean, we like hearing from practitioners like you is just the most valuable experience. No. So
but to your question, I think e-commerce is still the industry where marketing mix modeling and attribution work best. That I think we have to acknowledge that, because we have other industries, and then maybe it's fun that it's so challenging. But if you have something like B2B or financial industry, where a lot of your, say for example, if you sell insurances, then a lot of your revenue is going to come from aggregators like Check24 or Verivox, all of them, right? It's a bit more challenging to model than. If you're e-commerce, you directly sell on your site. That's already a huge benefit versus selling through some other third parties. You mentioned Amazon. That's probably fine if you want to do marketing mix modeling. For multi-touch attribution, again, difficult.
Yeah, and I mean, also coming back to, in my mind, like the likes of Zalando, About You, to some degree, Otto, all the gaming companies are like at the forefront of this measurement topic. They have in-house teams working on this, and we don't see this that often, at least in Germany, as I can say, and EMEA to some degree as well overall. And so that's why it's really interesting compared to others that might not do it internally. Maybe also because it's not that direct of an asset, so they don't see it as a core competency. They rather buy a solution for it. For example, one of the clients that you just mentioned. But that's But who else do you see? I mean, not discussing the merger. We agreed upon this. But who else do you see out there that has like really good in-house measurement practice in place? Who would you recommend? Who should we invite?
For me, it's super difficult because I think the exchange still, let's say, in your own industry with competitors is limited. Right? It's not like you are running around and all the competitors discuss exactly how they measure. And then sometimes, of course, you exchange with other verticals and so on. And I think for us, because we are a brand, but we are also a platform, so we are a retailer, so we have a high performance marketing share, a lot of transactional marketing, so on. I think it's really nice to exchange also with very brand focused advertisers, because they really think about this every day all the time. Because they don't have this big performance part. Maybe they are selling not through their own shop, as you mentioned, and so on. And then I think in brand marketing, of course, if you are a hybrid company and you focus a lot on ad tech and on performance marketing, on the other side, you are not thinking about your brand marketing all the time. Ideally, of course, we have people who are doing it with a focus. So we have a media team, media conception, and so
events
on.
team.
Events team, So we're also doing events still and stuff. But I think it's cool to get a glimpse on how are other industries just doing their marketing mix, not necessarily on the marketing mix model, but how they determine strategically their marketing mix, and what is also the message. So because I think in an automated advertising system, at some point you are not winning so much anymore with your crazy buying strategy. Especially on GCLID on Instagram. I'm not sure if the advertiser wins who has the perfect targeting and setup, or if just not the advertiser wins who has the best creative.
Or the best product.
Or best branding.
Which is really kind of like back to the future, right? Back to the 50s at the end of the day.
That's a beautiful conclusion. So thanks a lot for being here again in this short time period. Maybe we speak again end of the year, next year, whatever. There's more to discuss. But yeah, also thanks to you too, and then thanks to the audience for listening in. And as always, subscribe to our Spotify podcast and leave comments on the LinkedIn post and suggestions who we should invite. And thanks for being here. Until next time. Bye-bye.